before you try to sweep around mine. In other words, I know you see what I got wrong and all the dust that's collected at my door, but sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. Some folks, he just trying to be smarter. No, I'm not. I looked at the words of that song. I used to sing it, not in public, but in my home, and it says, you got to sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. It says, take 6 months to mind your own business. Yes. And 6 months to leave other folks' business alone. Come on, somebody. It says, you smile in your neighbor's face and you talk about them behind their backs. But if you found out they were doing the same thing to you, you know you wouldn't like that. Sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep. Paul is saying here, examine yourself before you go out trying to examine everybody else's stuff. Matter of fact, you may not have the same issue that they have, but you do have an issue. And deal with your issue before you go trying to deal with somebody else's. Because when God needs you to be vulnerable enough to give your testimony, they need to know that not only do you have issues that they can relate to, but they have issues that you can relate to. Come on, somebody. But if you're always perfect, people who are broken don't want to deal with you. Come on, somebody. I'm trying to help us. If you're always good, people who are bad don't even want to be around you. And God sent us out to save, to baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy, to find disciples, but we can't find them because they think that we're holy rollers. They think we can't relate to them because there is no testimony. We hadn't been vulnerable enough to let them know we've been through what you're going through. And not just in a general sense, because everybody say that now. But you pull them aside and you tell them one-on-one what's really going on. He said, examine yourself. He goes a step farther and says, examine your heart. Now, he said, examine your heart. He said, there's many ways that you can examine your heart, but you got to first examine whether or not God even saved you in the first place. He says, if you don't examine your heart, then sometimes you're going on membership when you ought to be going on discipleship. You're going because you're a member of the church, and this is what the church do, rather than because God laid it on your heart and you're trying to build and grow others. He said, examine whether God even called you in the first. Examine your heart to see if you love the brethren. There's some folks who are going out trying to minister and don't love folks that they're going to minister to. He said, if you don't love the folks, then you're going to overlook what God has told you to say, think, and do, and you're only going to say what you want to say. He said, you got to love one another. Then he said, examine your heart and see whether or not you're practicing righteousness. 1 John 2 says it this way, if you know that he is righteous, you know that everyone who practices righteousness is born of him. Meaning that before I look to see if you practicing righteousness, I need to see if I'm practicing righteousness. Before I come to your house and straighten you out, I need to know I done had a conversation with the Lord and he done straightened me out. Before I can deal with your stuff, I need to deal with my stuff and practice in the ways of God and God alone. He said, if you're going to do this, examine your heart. He said, see if you're living a life godly separation. You know, we are a royal priesthood, that God, he sanctified us. He set us apart. It don't mean he set us apart to be out there on the island by ourselves as Christians, but he set us apart saying, you don't do what you used to do. Matter of fact, you don't even talk like you used to talk. You don't go to places you used to go to. I've separated you from the ways of the world to now the ways of the righteous. So even if you have to go back into the world, you're bringing righteousness with you and you're not picking up the worldly stuff anymore. He said, have you been living a life where you have godly separation from the things that you used to do that were wrong and worldly? He said, these are just a few tests, the test of your heart, the test of whether you really want to be vulnerable and trust the Lord. He said, these are just a few tests that you'll have to go through. Matter of fact, 2 Corinthians 13:7 says this. He said, Paul made it clear that he did not want the Corinthians to fail. When you think about this thing and being vulnerable, sometimes people look at it the wrong way. Vulnerability is not about me telling my testimony so I can shame you into doing what's right. That's right. When I tell my testimony, according to Paul in 2 Corinthians 13, He said, I'm telling my testimony so that you know that we have some things in common.
That's right.
He said, I don't want you to fail, and I don't want you to feel like that you are a failure. But what I want you to know is that we all going through some of the same things together.
Come on.
And some of the stuff that I've been through, yes, God has delivered me from, but some of the stuff he's still working on. He's still trying to get the best out of me even now. That's why I have to stay in church. That's why I have to stay in Bible study and Sunday school. That's why I have to stay down on my knees, because God is still working on me. I haven't got it all right yet. I'm vulnerable to the word and the will of God, because every time I pick up the word, I find something that I'm doing that God told me not to do. Every time I pick up the word, I find that there's some things in there that I should be doing that I hadn't done yet. Paul is trying to tell them, I don't want you to fail at what I'm telling you about, but I want you to know that there's a strength down on the inside. If you just become vulnerable to the word and the will of God, that God is going to make a way out of no way. He said, if you become vulnerable to pray to the God that's able to do all things before, God is going to show you how to walk in a newness of Christ. If you just become vulnerable and let your guard down, people may criticize you, people may talk about you, but if you let your guard down, you'll see that you ain't in this thing by yourself. You gotta know that there's some folks out there who's walking right beside you. They're going through what you went through, but they won't say a word. You don't know that God made a way for them. You don't know that they were in worse condition than you are. You don't know that God is a healer. If nobody ever told you he healed them, I come to tell somebody it's time for the church to get vulnerable. We got to pray and tell somebody that the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. How do you know? Because I was on my way to hell all by myself, but somebody prayed for me. They told me that the Lord will make a way somehow. They were vulnerable in a moment, and I began to see that if God did it for them, he can do it for me. Are you vulnerable enough to trust God, to trust him with your testimony, to trust him with your gift, to trust him with whatever he's given to you, so that somebody else can see the Spirit of God? I come to tell somebody God is willing to use you, but you gotta be vulnerable. His Spirit will rest on you, but you gotta be vulnerable. He wanna move you to the next level, but you gotta be vulnerable. God told me to tell somebody, you're leaning on your own strength. You trying to act like you made it on your own, but God said it right here, right now. If you tell him how you got through, God will make a way out of nowhere. God will lift you up to higher heights, but you gotta first be vulnerable. If you come on and humble yourself before the almighty hand of God, he promised that he will bless you. He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek after him. Look at God trying to bless his people. You gotta know Jesus is vulnerable. That's why he went to the cross. He didn't have no sin, but he took on the sins of the world. He accepted everything we had. He was vulnerable. He could have stayed in heaven. He could have stayed in a safe place. But he said, I'll go. Send me, I'll go. And look at how we treated him. We called him everything but a child of God. We would put him up on a cross and hung him. But God said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Jesus was vulnerable so that we may have a right to the tree of life. I need somebody in here to make up your mind that you're going to be vulnerable. When you get to be vulnerable, somebody else can get saved. When you get to be vulnerable, us her difficulties. The Lord that saved her from a war that didn't want to do anything but destroy us. We got to be vulnerable, y'all. We got to be vulnerable. Some of the kids that are walking around us right now, they're going through things much worse than what we had to go through. But they won't come to church and share it because sometimes they see us in a different way. You got to let them know that there were some things you went through. There were some problems that you had. There were some hills you had to climb. But in spite of it all, God brought you out. You're not even all where you want to be. But you thank God for where you are right now. Because if he had left you where you were, you would have been already in a place on your way to heaven. We got to learn that some folks are just waiting on us to be vulnerable so they may come. I need us to hear that word today. Because guess what? It ain't just the folks out there that need to hear it. You need to hear each other say it. If pastor can't tell you that he's falling short sometime, then you'll think pastor perfect. And when you realize he fell short, you'll vote him out on the first whim rather than pray. If you can't tell folks you've been through some stuff, they don't even know how to pray for you. We got to learn to be vulnerable. The world is going in the wrong direction because we tried to make it great again instead of being vulnerable and let God make it great again. It's only going to get great when we cry out to the Lord, intercede one for another, follow his holy word. Is there one in this place who want to be saved today? We are vulnerable enough to let you know that Christ died for our sins just like he died for yours. We're vulnerable enough to let you know that he got on that cross for our sins just like he got on